Call him by his name. Call him by his name. His name is Jesus. 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 Watch and pray. Christ is coming back again. Children awake. Watch and pray. Christ is coming back again. He will meet you by the river. Christ is coming back again. He will meet you by the river. Christ is coming back again. Children awake. Watch and pray. Christ is coming back again. Children awake. Watch and pray. Christ is coming back again. He will meet you by the river. Christ is coming back again. He will meet you by the river. Christ is coming back again. Jesus, I am thine. Hey, meet Jesus. We will meet you by the way with a ticket in his hand. We will meet Jesus. We will meet Jesus. We will meet Jesus. By and by. By and by. We will meet Jesus. By and by. We will meet him by the way with a ticket in his hand. We will meet Jesus. By and by. Children walk the road. It's the lonesome road. Children of Zion walk heavenly road. Children walk the road. It's the lonesome road. Children of Zion walk heavenly road. Children walk the road. It's the lonesome road.
And good night to Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. Once again, it is time for Talking Points. My name is Sheldon Scott. I'll be here with you up until the 10 o'clock hour. Yeah, I'm hoping to have 2 interviews tonight.
I want to be there. I want to be there, my Lord. When the general road is full of
yeah, but we got some stuff to talk about before we get to that. I'm saying a special good night to all of you joining us via the various mediums. Those of you joining us via 91.5 Real FM listeners, good night to each and every one of you. Hope that you all are having a fabulous night tonight, and that everything is going all well and okay for you all, huh? Good night to you, Pastor. Hope you're having a wonderful one, man. Good night to you, Mr. Andre Donald. And of course, the entire Real FM crew. Those of you on the YouTube, those of you on the Facebook. And let's see who's on the Facebook. I see Cynthia B, Sue Steele, Olive McEwen. I see Shirley Lacret, Denise Fabrio, Dylan Pierre, Jill Williams, Jermaine Lewis, Cicely Celestine, Gillian Prescott, Esther Peters, Kenrick Gibbs, Candy James, Ingrid Bourne, yeah. I saw that girl Dixie and Victor, good night to you. Meryl George, Yvonne Courtney, McLean Mitchell, Landon. Yeah, Landon Jane, I see you. Our nursey Wendy Ann McGuire, good night to you. Wendy, when you got further information in relation to the medical mission, you got to give us, huh? Lynn Joseph, Teresa Gill, Latoya McGuire, good night to you, my dear. Winnie Simon, Claude Abraham, Enid Dakota, Wallan Akwat, Pamela Hackett, Charmaine Ragba Singh, Shauna Simpson, Louisa Williams, Teresa Collimo, Antonito Peters, Joan Henry, Nesta Sinclair, Sherry Ann Collins, Donna Langdon. And all of you joining us on the YouTube. Look, I was getting myself in trouble if I got to call out all those names on the YouTube tonight, boy. But yeah, giving a general good night to each and every one of you on the YouTube. Joyce down there in Trinidad, good night to you. All of the regional listeners. Our Barbados family. Our St. Lucian family. They're not just listeners, they're family. Our Vincentian family. Over the weekend I've been reaching out to some of my friends who Union Island and Bakeway and so on. And it's been rough, man, when you're talking to people and they say the house no longer exists. The phone lines 440-737-7347-329-3101. Good night to you, Wade, and all the listeners via We Noise Radio. That's 4407377 347-329-3101. Yeah, not a sniffle today, yeah. Yeah, our recovery time is quite fast, yeah? Recovering faster than, yeah, well, Lloyd don't go there, yeah. And we're going to the phone lines. Hello, good night.
Mr. Cox, how you doing, bro?
Hey, I'm quite fine. How are you doing?
Great.
All right, go right ahead, man. You're live.
You ain't just know who called you. In any case, when NNP call the troops obey.
I know who called, man.
My good brother.
Don't try that one. Don't try that one, boss. You ain't gonna see me. You ain't gonna see me in tongue these days. I don't Grenada side. Yeah, so you ain't gonna bounce me up in tongue.
All right.
Yeah, man, on south side. All right, my brother, you stay good.
All
right, man, stay blessed. Yes, indeed. I ain't saying who that is. I know who it is. My good buddy. Yes.
Somebody's knocking at your door. Somebody's knocking at your door. Children, why don't you answer? The Lord is calling. Somebody's knocking at your door. Somebody's knocking. Somebody's knocking at your door. Somebody's knocking at your door. Children, why don't you answer? The Lord is calling. Somebody's knocking at your door. Wait until I come. Wait until I come. Jesus said to wait until I come. Wait until I come. Wait until I come. Jesus said to wait until I come.
And I've got a call online. Hello, good night.
Hi, good night, Sheldon.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing fine.
All right, my dear.
Yes, I heard on GBN News this afternoon that NMP don't have a date for the convention. But I want to tell them, study what Kevin doing in Carriacou and study all the bubbleness that they're making with all this money here and leave NMP alone. We don't have a problem with NNP. We, the delegates, don't have a problem with NNP. They want to know when is the convention for them to announce who they put in as caretakers. They want to know the time going to reach when they're going to know. Don't worry about NNP. Study about all the corruption that's taking place in the country now. That is what they had to talk about. That is what they had to think about. Think about what's going on in Carriacou. Think about what Kevin said to the people, and then he lied to the people. Thank you, Sheldon.
Thank you so very much, my dear. You're good, though. She gone. Let me say something based on what that caller just said, huh? Now, I was looking at GBN News tonight, and the lead story on GBN tonight was that there's a rumor out there that the new National Party is going to have a convention in December. Some newspaper wrote, or whatever it is, because we don't have newspapers again, but wrote that there is going to be a convention in December. So they found the General Secretary of the new National Party to ask him if indeed that is true or that isn't true. I don't have a problem with that, I must say, I don't have a problem with that. GBN is right. If you're hearing something like that and you find, well, it is interesting, we want to know, the public wants to know, go ahead. Call the General Secretary of the NNP and find out. But at the same token, there are no rumors. It's a fact that the Prime Minister of this country is a CBI agent, that the Minister of Finance is a CBI agent, that various elements which surround the leadership of this country are CBI agents, that all sorts of things are happening within the CBI right now. GBN, all you can find a number to ask them about that. All you can find a number to ask them about the CBI program. The same way when you hear rumors, this is a fact. So you can't find these people to ask them about that. You can't find the present minister in charge of the mental institution to ask about all that's going on up there with the bed bug and all this kind of thing. All you can find her to ask about that. All you don't know directions to the ministerial complex to go and ask for an interview. If it is about the convention of the new National Party, all you know to find the number of the General Secretary and ask him. And again, the new National Party is a party that wouldn't have a problem. You hear it, you want some clarity on it, you ask. No problem. But when it comes to all of these other things that directly affect the Grenadian people, find them and ask them too. Find them and ask them. When it comes to the GDB and all that you're hearing taking place with the GDB right now, well, last week on a program, Simon Says, unlike all you, I like to give credit to people for the program. On Simon Says, last week, Thursday, a sitting board member of the Grenada Development Bank stated that they got a loan from the Grenada Development Bank. On this program and on other programs, we have said several times that it is illegal for that to happen. All you in find the board member and ask her a question. All you in call the management at GDB and ask them what happened. Look, right now, I see a note has been circulated by the Grenada Development Bank for people who are interested in getting the loan. The loan that, from what we heard from the government, was supposed to be available as of yesterday, where they're telling people now, and they haven't even given a date, that they know when they're going to be able to give out loans in relation to the Hurricane Beryl reactivation facility, business reactivation facility. So they don't even know when they're going to be giving out. We know for a fact that the government get the money. The government has stated that they put that money in GDB. As far as we're concerned, they've already put that money. The guys would have been out there saying. And with all of that, you're telling me GDB still saying they can't give out the money. What happened to the money in GDB? What's going on? That is not the same 24 million or so that was put in GDB. How come businesses can't access it now? Especially businesses that may be looking to reactivate, so that when the time comes for the Christmas season, which is usually a bumper season for businesses, that at least they'd be able to benefit from some form or format from it. No, they can't access the money from the GDB. So the GDB sent out a note right now. Yeah? That's the issue. So I'm not saying that the Grenada Broadcasting Network or any station is wrong. I'm saying they're correct, Any media house, they're correct. You hear something? Try and find out. But stop showing bias by only trying to find out what's going on at one organization when you hear things. Apart from the GDB, you have the MP for the South. There are various allegations against him and some facts. It is a fact that he owes millions in taxes. That's a fact. It is a fact that he got a loan from the GDB. after becoming a minister. Again, illegally so. But all you ain't touching them story. All you afraid. All you is not people like from the days of Leslie Pierre and Alistair Hughes. All you afraid. So all you ain't touching them kind of thing. Yeah, and it goes across the board, you know. They're afraid. They ain't touching them kind of story. You heard about the allegations of what's going on in the National Lottery Authority. In the same way you could pick up the phone and find Mr. Roland Bowler, pick up the phone and call the chairman of the board of the National Lottery Authority or the minister who has responsibility for the National Lottery Authority or the permanent secretary in the ministry that has responsibility for the National Lottery Authority or the manager of the National Lottery Authority or a director on the board of the National Lottery Authority, or find out from the press secretary to the prime minister if what you're hearing about the National Lottery Authority is true. Since you like to hear things some places and go on it, do that. What's wrong? I mean, there's nothing wrong with you all doing that. We have a call online. Hello, good night.
Good night, sir. How you doing, my brother?
Hey, I'm quite fine.
Yeah, what's up?
I'm good.
Yeah, you know who talking here?
I ain't make out the voice yet.
Come about, man.
Hey, okay, man.
Yeah, that's the guy who was talking about the drawing of the plan.
Yeah, but let's leave that off the program for tonight, please. That is an issue that there's nothing that we can do to address it here. We understand what the problem is. We understand the issue, but there's nothing that we can do on this program to address that. We've given you the advice that your best approach will be to go to the ombudsman, and we think that you should avail yourself of that opportunity. But there's nothing that we could do here on it if it's the plan you're calling to talk about again.
Well, I'll just highlighting your...
No, but we've heard this highlighted already. We've heard every aspect of this, so there's nothing new you can really call to tell us about it that you haven't said to us in the past few days. So let's not take up time with that one tonight, because I have a guest that I have to bring on shortly anyway.
Yeah, well, I appreciate your hospitality, man. Thanks for highlighting me, and let us see what happens.
Again,
I'll end it Friday.
Again, check with the ombudsman. Go to the ombudsman. Yeah.
Okay, I'll see you. I'll do a peaceful song to everyone. Photo of the class, my brother.
Thank you very much, brother. All right. Thank you.
Have a pleasant night, man.
Same to you.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Yeah, some issues, you know, we appreciate the call, but there's nothing that we can do in relation to that when it's stuck there in that. That's why we recommended ombudsman. Yeah. Let me see. Yeah. Let me see if I can just get a 15 minutes on with a good friend of mine right now. So let me just take a short break so I could bring on that call. All right, folks, I've got a good friend of mine, a Senator, the Honorable Emmalin Cox, on with me. Good night, sir.
Hey, good night, Sheldon. How are you?
Hey, I'm quite.
And good night to your Talking Points family.
Yes, sir. How is Carriacou doing?
Well, yeah, Carriacou, as I think the best way to describe it is that we had a critical juncture in Carriacou. You know, after any major disaster, there is always challenges in recovery, and so we are basically experiencing that currently. You know, but we have to commend persons who continue to stay the course and try to do everything they can to ensure that that Carriacou, recovers as intended. But we're trying, we're coping as best as we can, and we're hoping that with the continued support of our donors, friends, and we're hoping that the government of the day can do its part to ensure that Carriacou recovers properly. So that is where we are right now.
All right. And how are the programs that were launched, the initiatives that were taken by the new national parties there? How are they proceeding at this point in time?
Well, I must commend the executive leadership of the party for their support towards our relief and recovery efforts in Carriacou. I mean, we had the initiative of Meals on Wheels. The initiative is still going on. We have suspended the toilet initiative temporarily because there was some other demands for the toilet due to Carnival. They had Carnival, so the persons who had worked with us to have the toilets in Carriacou had to get them back because they were doing more demands for the Carnival season. Also, we continue to provide support for persons with whatever relief stuff that we receive, and we have just received a sizable shipment from our friends and family out in the Canada diaspora. So we're just getting some of that off the port. Hopefully in the coming days, we can start distributing to all of Carriacouans. I just want to make that known that we have not been watching face. I've never been that kind of person. Everything that we have been doing where we have been distributing for the public, we have been open to each and every single individual. We don't screen people for political preference, and persons who come to us and persons who we have supported can attest to that. And that is one of the things that we are proud of in how we have been responding during this crisis. Also, we have been giving support to persons, helping them to rebuild either temporary or permanent homes wherever possible, and we continue to do that. As you know, in opposition is always difficult. We have limited resources, but we are very proud of what we've been able to achieve thus far, and we plan to do as much more as we can going forward. So that is where we are in terms of our efforts, and try to give support wherever possible. There are individual members who are doing their own individual things in terms of helping families separating apart outside of the party.
Now you've spoken about the fact that the toilets came down. So will they be back up soon? And I'm asking this in the context of the tent situation that many people find themselves in right now. Now again, we are thankful for the donation of the tents. I believe that the Rotary Club, I believe, were involved in it. And the Church of Latter-day Saints and so on. So I know a lot of people are thankful for them. But the question remains, if you have a cluster of tents in a particular location, what is the bathroom facilities that people are expected to utilize? Especially seeing that even the NNP bathroom program now, that has been on hold for a short while because the toilets have been down. How is that being addressed?
Yeah, well, I can't say what they are doing to deal with that. I don't know. I mean, I've seen tents several places around. However, in terms of how we resuming the program, we had an initial conversation with the supplier, so they have given a commitment. So it's just a matter for us to work the logistics to have those toilets back up. So that can easily happen. Additionally, regarding the tents, one of the things that I know is that when you meet with donors, they would ask, what are your needs? And so I believe that it might be possible. I don't want to accuse anybody wrongly, but it might be possible that is what we probably asked for. We probably asked for tents and probably didn't ask for materials. So sometimes what you ask for is what you would get. So those are some of the things that you have to be mindful of. Persons, they may make an offer to say, look, this is what we have, but they wouldn't just throw things on us just like that. That is not how those organizations work. They would only go with what we have asked or approved. So I just wanted to state that. But yes, there is a concern in terms of the issue of persons who lost their entire home. Obviously, they would lose their water as well. And we come right back to the issue of no roof and the challenge for water. Sheldon, I just want to really make the point. And sometimes I've heard comments that we're pushing on materials and roof. And I did explain it in the parliament and in the context why it is so important. It is not a situation where you have potable water throughout Carriacou, pipe-borne water throughout Carriacou, and you know that the dry season is coming in a few months. So it is imperative that persons hands by which we can catch water to store for the dry season. And that is the reason why the materials and roof is so important than in the context of Grenada, who have pipe-borne water throughout. So you see, that is the difference. We main source of water is from rainwater harvesting, while we do have an outside plant which complements catchments, localized catchments. But pressure in our outside plant does be a lot of pressure during the dry season. So now that persons don't have roof, they don't have the capacity to catch water, it's going to be more pressure on the system, and that is the concern that we have, and that's the reason why we're indicating that is a critical issue to help families, to help homes get their roof back on. So that is in the context, because it's important that you explain, because sometimes people believe that you're just criticizing for criticism's sake, but that is not the case. This is something very, very serious in terms of havable water for domestic needs and other health needs as well. And if you're looking to resume school, remember, people have to wash clothes. You have kids going to school, uniforms have to be washed every weekend. So that is the pressure and the demand for water is going to increase. Yeah. So I just wanted to underscore that the importance and the reason why we as a party have been stressing on that, and for persons not to take it out of context as if, well, we're trying to force the government, and that is not the case. We are saying, look, we have passed, the government passed an appropriation bill on Friday. Yeah, in that appropriation bill, there were allocation for 200 homes. Government is putting money in the budget for 200 homes for St. Mark's and St. Patrick's. I know in St. Patrick's in particular, I don't have empirical evidence for St. Mark's, but in fact, St. Patrick's in particular, there are some housing needs there. Yeah, but the question is, why is there none for Carriacou? And we started Parliament just about between 8:30 and 9 o'clock. Yeah, Sheldon, and we left there after 7 at night. And not a member on the other side could have responded to that question. Why there was no allocation for house support for Carriacou, who has received the major brunt of the damage. And that is what is, I don't know if in the other budget, at the end of the year for the 2025 budget. But the question is, you are saying that Carriacou is the focus, but yet for all, you have not put any allocation. I don't see any reason why houses cannot be built in Carriacou through the supplemental as St. Patrick's and St. Mark's. So that is why I did. There was no explanation given. They had ample time. Somebody could have called somebody and find out. And separating apart from that, these 200 homes, there was an allocation of $15 million for the 200 homes. So I question the allocation, the integrity of the allocation. Because when I look at it in the breakdown, in the details of the document, they indicated that $50,000 is the estimate for each home, including materials and labor. That was written specifically in the document, and it's a public document to verify if they think that I'm not telling the truth. And when you look at the cost per home, as against how much homes are targeted to be built, there is a $5 million that is unaccounted for. So we were asking, if $10 million is what the homes will cost to build, what's the extra $5 million for? I don't know if $5 million could be seen as miscellaneous, So I think as a responsible opposition, it is appropriate for us to question those numbers. And so we still didn't get up to this day regarding that, and a couple other things as well. So I think for me, Sheldon, I believe that I have a responsibility to issues that concern Carriacouans and Petit-Martiniquans. We have a responsibility to raise that awareness to the government, to the parliament, or publicly, and on programs like yours. And that is what we seek to do. It is not a matter of criticizing. And I keep awareness to some of the issues that is affecting people. And that is what I will continue to do. I believe that is the right and appropriate thing to do.
Now, we've seen in the islands just off Carriacou and Petit-Martinique, Mairou, Bequia, Union Island, significant development already taking place. In fact, I know like the clinic in Mairou, it's already covered. I done fix up and thing already, and various other facilities on those islands. Meanwhile, we see Carriacou still in a state like they're wondering where to start. We're seeing roofs being put back on the other islands, but again, Carriacou and Petit-Martinique, we don't see that situation. In fact, just a couple days ago, there was a situation in Petit-Martinique where the people were made to hang around for the entire day up until about 2 in the afternoon for a team to come up from Carriacou to show them how to put on tarpaulin. And after staying around for that time, the guys just went on the roof. They pull a tarpaulin across. They put a nail, bam, 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 4 corners. Then they take the tarpaulin back off the person's place to put it on, and they go with it and tell people that, well, instead of putting on the tarpaulin for yourself, a team will be coming up to put on the tarpaulin for you. And you have a situation where many of the tarpaulin in Petit-Martinique right now already shredded. And they were hoping that at least some would have been distributed. They were told, no, in a few days' time, they're going to possibly get some. All of these situations, that's not fair to the people of Petit-Martinique. I mean, when it comes to Petit-Martinique in particular, we know everywhere mash up. But in Petit-Martinique in particular, I tend to think that they're being treated very unfairly.
Well, I am not aware of that particular incident.
I could tell you, you know me already.
However,
you know me already.
However, the taps that have been distributed, they have a shelf life of about 3 to 6 months in our weather conditions.
Not 15 years?
So,
Wait, hold on, Senator. Not 15 years? No, because I hear some people talking about 15 and 20 years tarpaulin up and things, so I want to know. Not 15 years?
No.
Okay, all right.
No.
Okay.
Not from what I've seen, because I've seen the taps that are there. They're probably about 3 to 6 months. Done properly, maybe could last a little longer, but not as much as 15 years. I don't think so. Not in our kind of weather. Not in our kind of weather. The sun, a lot of sun, and then rain. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The tarpaulin that does that is the real heavy tarpaulin that you would find that more in the marine sector, more on the ships. They use it to cover cargo for wetting and things like that. Those are the real heavy tarpaulin. One person can't even lift it once folded. That's to tell you. It's heavy stuff.
But that's still in lasting 15, 20 years outside there with hot sun beating it and rain and everything. 15 years?
No.
Yes,
those tarpaulin are not there.
Senator Cox, any other issue you want to raise on behalf of the people of Carriacou and Petit-Martinique? Because I know that you ain't too long come up.
Well, a critical issue is is of course, school education has been. I did spoke about it when I was on last. It has been a critical issue, and my colleague Senator, we had a little back and forth in the Parliament on it, and I did indicate to him my feelings as a Carriacou, as a parent. I was not pleased. I told him I was not pleased with how he handled the whole issue, and more so the note. I just think that because of the situation in Carriacou, I think they had ample time to notify persons whether or not they were going to have school. So, and let me say this, and let's look at it in the context of the work, the damage, and the time frame for work for completion. I'm quite certain, and nobody can tell me that you cannot estimate how long a job to complete. And if 2 weeks, at least 2 weeks before school, whatever work is left undone, a contractor, any suitable contractor, must able to say, look, Minister, look, based on where we are, based on what we need to get done, we would not be able to get this done in 2 weeks' time. So as such, school will not be able to open in 2 weeks. I think that is reasonable. I think that is reasonable. I mean, I've worked in construction, and so it can be estimated. You could conservative approach in the event that something happens. But I don't understand why you will come a few days before schedule opening of school to tell people that school is not opening. I just thought it was not appropriate, and I that is how I felt given the circumstances that what we are already going through in Carriacou, and that was just my own personal take on it. And he felt that was appropriate, and that was that. So we have a disagreement here on that approach. So, but I still indicate that there is a clear opportunity for both grade 5 and grade 6 to start hopefully this month or this term, and for Form 4s and Form 5s to start this term. It can be done. It was achievable. It's still achievable. However, we see that I noticed that they had started some work on Bishop's College. I saw that when I was up, and now I see they're starting his borough government. So, while we were in the Parliament, my colleague Senator, the Attorney General, stand and gives false information. Said that the majority of schools were being worked on or already repaired in Carriacou. I mean, why would you make such a statement? When people are living in Carriacou and they know what is taking place wrong. Say it in the Parliament, and somebody hearing it outside who doesn't know better, they might believe, but it doesn't change the fact that is not the case. It doesn't change the fact. So I was just a little bit disheartened about that. I think that it's important for us to kind of have that information before you go and see those things. I didn't speak on it in that extent, in that detail. I could have listed all the buildings that repair work has started on and those when it has started. I mean, I could have done that. But I mean, that is what we, that's not really important scheme of things. Because the whole idea is that we understand that all the buildings cannot be repaired at the same time. All right, that is logical. And so if work start, fine. Maybe, my opinion, where the priority lies, I probably wouldn't have started with the administrative building and the ministry building. I probably would have started with the clinics. I probably would have started with the schools. I probably would have started with the hospital. Yeah? But they started with the administrative building in town, and then they started with the ministry after. I think they are now on the hospital, and they started on Bishop's College and Hillsborough Secondary. But I would have focused on the schools, knowing that you want to resume school as soon as possible. And for me, I'm still mystified as to what is taking place with the Dumfries housing scheme. Why is it that it is not accessible? persons is an opportunity for persons to stay there temporarily. You have a few people in the shelter still. You can relocate them to the Dumfries housing scheme,
Senator
and
Cox.
free up the schools, free up the shelters, so that school can resume. I don't know what is so difficult about that.
I seem to remember a statement in the last few days.
I am mystified. Yeah.
But I seem to remember a statement in the last few days that people have started moving into those buildings in Dumfries. So investigate that one when you get a chance. Investigate. We ain't saying they lie yet.
It is possible.
We ain't saying they lie yet.
No,
we go investigate.
It is possible. It is possible that people have started to move in. But I was seeing that in the context of the shelters that are being occupied. Mm-hmm. It would have made sense to move persons into those houses in temporary and free up the shelters so the school can resume as well. Whatever work that has to be done in the schools, whatever the cleaning that has to be done in the school can be done so that school can resume. Mm-hmm. So that is, I'm positive. I mean, we have been struggling for quite some time, begging for persons to be given an opportunity to stay at the housing unit. But we know that it has livability capacity because the workers from Carriacou who came, they were staying there. The workers from Grenada, the workers from St. Kitts, the workers from Antigua, the workers from St. Lucia, the workers from Dominica, they all were staying there while they were giving support in rebuilding the electricity infrastructure. Mm-hmm. So we know that it has livability capacity, not full 100, but we know that it can house some people. So I am just a little bit lost. So, but if there are persons they know, that is all good and well. We'll fine while it's late, but it is all good and welcome. Yes.
Ziggy, make a pass for my brother. Ziggy. Well, Senator Cox, I don't want to keep you long because believe me, I'm talking to you. And I hear in the tired. I hear it, brother. I know it goes. So, as I said, any final word for the listeners? You know, Southside is on as well. Everybody's there. Look, Senator Cox. You know, any final word?
Well, I just encouraging all Carriacouans to remain resolute, to stay strong. Despite whatever utterances, whatever remarks. You know, I have been a public servant since 1997. I've been serving the public. You know, so sometimes when you hear people make comments, you know, you just smile, knowing what you would have done, the commitment you'd have made, the sacrifices you have made. I mean, the people who you help, and you understand what it means to be a public servant, what it takes to be a public servant. It's a special type of individual. It takes to be able to work in that capacity, to serve in that capacity. And so I am really pleased and honored and privileged to be given an opportunity to serve Carriacou and Petit Martinique at that level at the Parliament and whatever capacity, and just to give a commitment that I will continue to do that I can while I am in this space to help Carriacou and Petit Martinique recover. And I just want to signal out, there has not been a lot of talk about support for the fishing sector, and somehow it seems like very little is said about them. I understand that while, you know, persons are homeless, that kind of takes center stage, and there are even some fishermen without hope. But I was really hoping that the ministry would have even worked swiftly to resuscitate the center, so that at least the center can open, so you can have that business where the fishermen can go and sell their fish and to help get little revenue back. So that is something I'm hoping they may start on the fish centers as soon as possible. As I said, they make a decision to choose which building to start on first. I don't know what was their thinking. In my understanding, estimation, and capacity, I think that the buildings that they prioritize to start first. I probably would not have done that, but that is their decision. But I'm just making a call for the fishing community because I know that they have been struggling, and everybody needs to have a voice, and I'll try my best to respond and to support and to raise those concerns for everybody where possible, where I can at this point in time. So, Shem, I'm happy to be on. I was hoping to come on, but probably not tonight. But you kind of catch me before I have to come, but that is fine.
No, you're coming back on.
That is fine.
You can come back on next week, we could just make sure we give you enough time to prepare. I know I can talk today.
I'm always prepared, I'm always prepared.
You was in Boy Scouts too? Okay, nice.
Yeah. Yeah, as I said, I'm really privileged and happy to be serving the people of Carriacou and Petite Martinique, and it's something that I was sitting with my mom for a little bit today. We were talking, and because she's down in the mainland, and it's just sometimes you reflect and you feel that level of satisfaction, knowing that you have done and you try to do your best to help people. Sometimes people call me and I can't even recall who they are when I assisted them, and so the satisfaction that these jobs brings. But there's much more could be said, but I think right now the focus needs to be on the people of Carriacou and Petite Martinique, and for us to get them back to some sense of normalcy as quickly as possible. As I just want to indicate, housing is the greatest need right now for Carriacouans. So I strongly hope that we can, and I hope as a party we can able to be trying our best to reach out to donors. If there is anybody listening out there who wants to lend a hand to support in terms of materials, so to help support one or two families in Carriacou, they can reach out to me as well. I'm glad to do what we can to help families in need. And that is the concern. That is just to close out, Sheldon. That is the main concern that I have, is that the people who really need may not get it because of the precedents that we see that has been set, and that has been spoken publicly to, where that has been made public, that supporters will be the ones benefiting first. So I go back and we have record. As I say, the tape doesn't lie.
The tape doesn't lie.
We can always play the tape. If person believe that is not what said, we could always play the tape to verify that. And so that is something that I have for persons who have their own political preference may become a victim because of their own political preference. And so we are hoping that doesn't work out, but that is one of our major concerns. That's one of our major concerns that we have. But we're hoping and hope that God continue to bless our people while we go through this difficult period, and that we come out of it much stronger.
All right.
So, Sheldon, thank you very much for your time. And
Senator Cox, thank you. Thank you for your time, because I know how it goes for you on a daily basis, and especially on a day like today. I know how it goes for you, my brother, and I'd like to thank you. The entire Talking Points family would like to thank you for taking the time on short notice to join us online today.
No problem, and thank you for the opportunity to at least to speak and to give viable information as to where we are, and more for clarity. Social media can really distort a lot of credible information and make it sound what it's not. And so, persons have to be very careful, and so I think I have a responsibility to clarify, and wherever to just bring some more clarity to what are some of the issues that are affecting us at this current time, and why those issues are front and center. I think the why is the most important thing, because we don't want to be seen as if we just raising things that is for no reason at all.
Yeah, just raising it for raising its sake. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's not the case.
All right, my
That is
brother.
not the case. Yeah.
Thank you so
All right,
very much
take
once
care.
again.
All the
All
best.
right, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yes,
All right,
indeed.
bye-bye.
Folks, we were talking with Senator the Honorable Emmalin Cox, yes, our good brother out there in Carriacou, and he was giving us a little update. You know, every now and again he give us a short little update on what has been happening, what's going on. I find what let me take the call. Hello, good night.
Hi, good night. What you doing, mate?
Hey, I'm good, man. How are you?
Fadu. I swear, I think I'll get locked up just now, and I'm gonna need some. I don't smoke cigarettes and stuff, but I'll need something on my commissary. I just don't know the government trying to make me a criminal. I don't understand that, fam. And I fighting so hard to steal that jama.
My good friend, well, what going on with you there now?
This well, you know, first of all, let me be all fair. I should actually see you have any information on the act or statute about kids under 18 mandatory must be in school.
Yes,
any information on that?
It has been passed in Parliament that no children under the age of 18 must be outside from an educational institution. Yes, so they should be going some form of school.
So
Formal schooling, eh?
They suggest, like, for instance, the kids that fast track to school, like my daughter might finish school my daughter's son might finish school like 15, 17, and I talk on TAMCC. So let's say they're in a working environment already, in terms of they paying bills, they work in their job, or the entrepreneurs just the same, or is the system telling me now that I have to force the child to go back into a school system, a school learning environment?
That's the law.
That I can get charged or locked up. That's what they're telling me.
That's the law, yeah.
That is madness.
My brother,
that is madness. Is the system aware of how much fathers taking care of kids out here with no name on birth certificate? Are they aware of these situations?
My brother, I think that they thought up something, but they did not think it through properly.
Fair enough. There's no platform.
Because if you're doing something like that, and in a short while we'll be bringing on the Honorable Emmalin Pierre, the former Minister of Education, and we'll hear what she has to say on this issue as well. And I know that she's listening, so we'll hear what she has to say on this. Because if you're doing that, if you're saying at the age of 18 people should still be in school, you must set up the various institutions that they will be able to attend. So you can't just say that there's TAMCC, so they finish secondary school, let them go TAMCC.
Exactly.
What about something that, for instance, as you just mentioned, a child that already left, they finished early, they left, and they're working. Now, what about evening time for that child? What about a class in the evening? Yeah. What about some additional institutions for somebody that wants to learn technical? They want to do technical, whatever. It's a sort of, they just kind of like throw it on people and just institute it. And they did not put the mechanisms in place for it to work properly. And then they're threatening parents now that if you have a child under the age of 18 and they're not in school, that you are going to end up in legal problems.
That is crazy. That is absurd. On top of that, very much so. Well, let's hope some resolve come quick. Something else I want to touch on there real quick, because I only saw it this afternoon. The budget about the $50,000 house.
Yeah.
Based on what I saw on one of the rider program now. You know, them riders now.
Yeah, riders. Yeah.
Yeah, them riders and them. It might be feasible but I say, like, I was planning to get a piece of property and get one of those, you know, the modular houses. It's better the government gets some modular houses, because like what is showing there, that not make it. And at least the container houses, they are hurricane proof in it.
Well, I see a container in Carriacou. You want to see where the hurricane put it now? But then that wasn't bolted down and it was empty too. It wasn't bolted down and it was empty. So if it's bolted down, it's another story.
So is the the design of the house, is it going to be credited to the minister also? Is it am I saying the politically right term? Well, because the minister was saying on the program that he came up with a concept and gave somebody to, you know what I mean?
Maybe he's a designer.
To manifest it to what it is. So is he taking credit for the design also?
Well, here's what. Fadu, Let me listen to that program when I finish because I didn't hear it. I got one or two pieces, but I didn't get the whole thing. Let me listen to it, and then we're going to deal with it from there. But I have to bring on Honorable Emmalin Pierre now. So, my brother, it's always good to talk. Don't make that your last call on my program, man.
Yeah,
don't make that your last call, you know.
Yeah, I think there's some things we need to talk about.
Yes, man. All right, my brother. Thank you so very much. Yes, Father, bless. Yeah, man, respect.
Safe travels.
Yes, indeed, folks. So, here's what I'm going to do. And the phone line's kind of going crazy. But here's what, folks. Let me just bring on the Honorable Emmalin Pierre. Let me just get her online. Yeah, let me just get her online with us. And then we can continue tonight's conversation. Yeah. But that's a very interesting point. The one in relation to the children who are yet to achieve the age of 18 but already out the school system. And I have online with me the Honorable Emmalin Pierre. Hello, good night.
Good night. Good night to you. Good night to all of your listeners.
Yes, ma'am. How are you doing?
Very good. I always tell you would not hear bad when you ask that question.
Oh,
once you have life, you're supposed to be good.
Yeah, because a lot of people who went to sleep last night did not wake up this morning. So yeah, we have
if you
always
think
be
of
thankful.
that way, you can't say you're bad.
Yeah.
Because there are some people who are struggling to breathe right now. So if you have it all together, it has to be good.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And we saw your presentation at the forum on Sunday. Wonderful presentation, energetic presentation on Sunday and so on a variety of matters and a variety of issues. But this evening, though we extremely, and you know that I love the people of St. Andrew Southeast. I extremely love, whether it's Mama Can, whether it's Telescope, I love the people of Southeast. But Southeast people, all you have to leave us today to talk a bit about education. We might mention we'll give a little thing at the end. For once, we'll give a little thing at the end. But we really need to speak about education today. And, the first question I want to ask you, though, is you have been a minister, you've been Minister of Education for an extended period of time, huh? And let me ask, a hurricane pass, you have a serious situation with educational institutions on 2 out of the 3 islands that constitute the state of Grenada. You also have 1 or 2 institutions on the mainland that were adversely affected. And you won't take a vacation at that point in time? Before school reopen and before any significant work starts on them? You know Dr. Mitchell as good as me. What you think would happen? When you go in front of him to say, well, look, I'm taking vacation now, what you think would happen? Really not what
well, the truth about that is I would not even speak to what an individual would do, but I would speak to what is expected in a crisis. Leadership is expected to be present, expected to provide guidance, inspiration, motivation, and it becomes a little bit difficult from a distance. So this is how I would respond to that. And I'll just share a little story. Is this because you see, in a crisis, it's very critical to motivate, right? Very important to make sure that the people you lead, that they themselves are okay, that they have the moral and other support that is necessary for them to function. So as you said that, 2 things just flashed through my mind very quickly. I called the PS one night to follow up as it relates to a meeting the following day. And when I heard the talking in the background, I realized he was not at home and realized that the entire team was at the Ministry of Education, right? Mm-hmm. I left these people there at about 4 or 5 the evening. And I'm talking about 9 p.m., right? I literally drove from St. Andrew, went back to St. George's just to be there because it was a very critical, tough time. I don't want to go through the details. The truth is, every single person I met there, including myself, slept in the Ministry of Education that night because there was a particular deadline. And I just felt I needed to be there to give them that moral support, right, at the time. Another thing that popped in my head, and we're speaking about the importance of presence, the importance of motivating the team, getting the team together, right? The period of COVID, I mean, remember your management team, people close to you, they have issues as well. They have challenges. In the case of Carriacou, they lost their homes too. Mm-hmm. And I told them on more, we used to do this very short meeting, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And the main feature of that, are you okay? How is your family? You know, and I remember clearly one person literally breaking down, crying in that 15 minutes meeting. And I mean, I don't want to say what the individual said, but that person was literally relating what that short meeting meant to her. On I'm leaving my family at home, my child is not well, I'm worried, but this encourages me to keep going. So I'm just saying all of this to say that everything rises and falls on leadership, mm-hmm. especially in a crisis, especially in a crisis. So if you tell me that the Minister of Education was on vacation during this crisis, I still find it a little bit difficult to believe, but let's move on to more important things.
The Gazette doesn't lie. 3 weeks personal time. Personal.
Well,
not government thing, personal time.
I argued it, and if you confirm it, well, I find it hard to believe, but you've confirmed it officially.
Yes, it's in the government Gazette. The tape doesn't lie, as they say. So, okay. Yes. So, how do you see the present situation? Your former Minister of Education, as we mentioned, how do you see the present situation as obtains, especially to the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique? Yes, there are issues on mainland and in general, but specific to the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique, we heard some of the concerns raised by Senator Cox a while ago, himself a parent as well. What are some of the things, how do you see this situation as it is right now? What's your overall view of what is taking place?
Well, let me use the opportunity, Sheldon, to recognize and to express very best wishes for this new school term to all the educational officials, principals, teachers, ancillary staff, parents, students, of course, all of the stakeholders, representatives from the various denominational schools, etc. I genuinely express to all of them my very best wishes for a very successful school term. And my heart really goes out to the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique. I've said this over and over, particularly in the current crisis that we're experiencing in education. Right? I always want to use the opportunity to recognize Senator Cox, our representative in Carriacou, and he's been doing an amazing job, in my opinion, during this crisis. You asked me how I view the situation, and interestingly, I've been receiving so many calls. I assume in my capacity as I'm a Minister for Education, and persons asking my opinion on certain things, and if I think that should be or that should not be. And I try to limit my comments because I would expect that the situation would be very different. And hopefully this session this evening may add some value to the situation. How I see the situation, a crisis on a crisis. Honestly, that's how I see it. A crisis on top of crisis. Now, from what I've gathered to be happening in Carriacou currently and Petit Martinique, none of our schools, well, we already know that, none of our schools were opened on Monday. And I cannot understand how we can be in this situation, and I'll tell you why I cannot understand this, right? In terms of the actual situation, we were told that it is highly likely, most likely, we are shooting for the start, and we want to open school as every other part of Grenada, right? Debris debris in some of the schools are being removed the week before school opens. So how could you have ever been serious about opening school this week? If you are just removing debris from the school the week before school open, it tells me you had absolutely no plan to open school last Monday. So that is number one. The second thing that is critical to note is that there's very little, and in some cases, no communication between the Ministry of Education, principals, and teachers. It is very minimal. There is no of direction from the Ministry of Education and no clear sense of direction on the ground. And I'm speaking with a measure of authority on this because I think I've done sufficient research to confirm what I'm saying. There's no clear sense of direction in this situation, and that's problem number one. Obviously, there will be low morale, obviously, but to add to that, there's no sign of resources or mobilization of resources as it relates to any form of preparation for the reopening. So if you ask a principal in Carriacou or PT Matnik now, or you ask a teacher, when do you think school would reopen? Right? I don't have to answer you what I think the response would be, or what you should expect the response to be, right? There's been no serious meeting with parents, teachers, students, stakeholders in Carriacou and PT Martinique. I listened the Minister for Education make reference to a meeting that he had last week, and I'm trying to convince myself that I did hear right, because I have the benefit of the doubt. But I thought that what he said was that he went to Carriacou to meet with principals and teachers and parents and so on, students and so on. And when I understood what actually happened, it's very far from what I thought happened, right? There was a meeting that took place in Carriacou, not last week, much longer than that. And that was considered to have been the main stakeholder engagement that took place in Carriacou. As a matter of fact, teachers and principals who were at that meeting were appalled at the conduct and the behavior of two ministers of government in that meeting. Now, if you call a meeting like that, you want to give hope, you want to motivate, you want to have people feeling inspired, you know? But I can tell you that there are some people who left there demotivated, because you had two ministers of government in that meeting arguing between themselves in the presence of these officials, right? And that did not leave them with the right impression, right? And so there is a major concern on the ground as it relates to education and where things are going. I wish I could have said something different as to what the situation on the ground is viewed as by many persons involved in the education sector. But you spoke about the whole rehabilitation of schools and construction of schools. So I already brought to your attention that there were cases where debris were being removed from the school the week before school opened, after you've had how many weeks of vacation? You had almost the whole of July, the whole of August, right? And at the beginning of September, are now getting to the point of removing the debris, right? Something must be definitely wrong with that. But also, it is a fact that attempt to repair schools in Carriacou started without proper scope of works, without proper authorization from the Ministry of Works in Grenada. And I'm not asking you that, I'm telling you that, right? And so the situation is a very confusing one for stakeholders. And I want to appeal tonight to all of those who are involved in the leadership of the education sector. Let's calm down. let's go back to the table, let's go back to the drawing board, and let us come up with a strategy and a plan that is soundproof, that would be able to drive the process forward in the most professional way and in a way that is going to see results in a very short space of time. You know what this government is going for it is the fact that it doesn't have a financial crisis. And to me, when you're in that position, you have a head start, right? So finance is not a problem. This government has been boasting of $1 billion in revenue from the CBI program. This government has benefited recently $118 million from the CRIF program, which indeed is for the same purpose that we are actually discussing. So there's no money problem, right? This said government boasted and referred to the Treasury as pregnant, accounting over $500 million when they got into office, right? Now, I don't think we could have spent all of these monies in spite of all the wastage taking place. So, for example, I can't understand, with the schools to be rebuilt in Carriacou, with homes to be rebuilt in Carriacou, with all of these things, resources, devices to be replaced, books to be replaced, I cannot understand how we would decide to host a CARICOM heads of government meeting spending $2.5 million. You know what somebody who came to Grenada for this activity said? Emmalin, this is crazy. When I looked at the food, when I looked at the posh hotels, when I pump and the flair, I could not believe you guys actually had a hurricane. Now, this is what a visitor said to me. That person, I would have been very comfortable if I had average condition and empathize with Grenada in the situation. Now, was it necessary to spend whatever we would have spent on the CARICOM roundabout when there's a child in Carriacou right now who lost their device during the hurricane and has no means of communicating with a teacher right now? I am certain, without any shadow of a doubt, and I don't know why I find myself repeating that phrase a lot recently, that if it was the NNP in government, either two things, I feel strongly about that, may have happened. One, because this heads of government position is something that is rotated, I am certain Dr. Mitchell may have asked the next person. So in this situation, I understand that is Honorable Mia Motley to be the next in line. He may have asked CARICOM whether or not it would be possible that there be a switch between himself and Jose Said. He may have asked for something, some special consideration, or maybe to say, yes, I believe I am able to hold the position, but could we host the celebration, the special meetings, the plenary, whatever has to be done? Can we, as Barbados host, it may sound abnormal that I'm assuming the chair, but we are holding the special meeting in Barbados. Barbados might just decide, okay, understanding the circumstances, we are prepared to do that. Because what changes? Because you had it in Grenada? Or we could have scaled down activities associated with the hosting of the heads of government meeting. I'm just saying that you can't appear to be acting normal in a situation of a crisis of this magnitude. Mm-hmm. And not just normal, way past normal, right? Because of course, when we understand all of that would have happened during that period of the hosting of our special guests, we have to understand that we can be very serious that we have Carriacou and Petit Martinique too. Let me just say here, Sheldon, that in this situation, there are a couple of things that are absolutely necessary.
Yes,
leadership and presence, which I made reference to.
Because my next question was, how would you have faced the response to, as a Minister of Education, how would you have faced your response to the situation that exists in Carriacou and Petit Martinique? That was the next question I was coming with.
Okay. So understanding the crisis, understanding the situation, I would say there are some absolute necessities. And I would have, when you asked me to come on tonight, in the last half an hour, I just jotted down a few things that I would reference as to what could possibly considered, as you just asked, a phased approach in response to this. But before getting to that, I just want to mention the importance of leadership and presence, the importance of stakeholder engagement. So all secondary schools in Carriacou, for example, Catholic denomination, Anglican denomination, right? I'm curious, what level of engagement did we have with them between the time of the passage of the hurricane and now? Stakeholder, making people feel a part of, making people feel that they role or knowing that they have a role in the process of rebuilding. The whole issue of emotional intelligence, and we see how lacking this is. I mean, the lack of empathy, right? The way that people are spoken of and spoken to, even by government ministers in the midst of a crisis. I mean, it's appalling, right? The absence of inspiration and motivation, those are key necessities, especially in a crisis, right? Encouraging innovation. So have we had sessions? And I'm not asking now, we have not had sessions sitting with stakeholders in Carriacou and Petit-Martinique and asking the questions like, get rid of debris, for I'm just thinking of an example, without destroying our playing field. How can we resume school even if people are in the shelters? Right? How do we get people start thinking, coming up with ideas, coming up with solutions, coming up with strategies? And that should have started since in July, right? The other thing is having a rapid response team that involves people from Carriacou and Petit-Martinique as in key stakeholders that would drive the process forward, right? And I'm not asking, we don't have that. The establishment of a special hotline to facilitate communication, to facilitate support in this crisis. Thorough assessment, I don't know to what level and extent the situation was assessed. And I'm speaking educational, so I'm not speaking the broad rebuilding process. But a thorough assessment of what would have been lost, what needs to be replaced. Did we save chairs? Did we save tables? I don't feel very confident that a thorough assessment was conducted in this situation. And of course, coming up with a strategic plan that would drive the process forward. I feel confident that there isn't one. And you know why I feel confident there isn't one? I've been asking, so, does anybody know what is the plan? Is there some strategy? I've been asking, and key people who should know don't seem to know. So I have to conclude that there isn't one, right? And then once you have that, then you move to the point of funding. As I said, the government don't have a finance problem. So that should not be a problem. I remember in COVID, when there was a challenge with finance, so we were not collecting $1 billion from CBI. We didn't have $118 million from CRIF. So guess what? We had to sit down and box our brain and say, okay, where can we find resources to do this? And then you start thinking about savings. You start thinking, okay, so you have had to do school feeding between this period and that period. Since you don't have school, well, you won't use that. Let us repurpose. You would have had training for teachers that you won't have during this period. So let's move these resources over to be able to purchase this or to buy this or to whatever the case might be. So the whole issue of securing. Now, all of these are urgent necessities once you have a crisis situation, right? Now, let us look at the actual on-the-ground situation. So I'm in July, and I'm picturing July. What should have been happening in July? So this rapid response team that I referred to earlier that should have included key people in Carriacou and Petit Matnik. So maybe just like you had your friend Maxine and others involved in NADMA, right? Just so we should have had some people involved in education forming their own emergency team with support from Grenada to begin to drive this process forward simultaneously. So NADMA and with relief, Maxine and others working very hard there, and this other team here working very hard to drive the process. So by the end of July, all debris from schools moved because you have a dedicated special team that is working on that. So even if you had to relocate, like you relocated people from Guyana to come to Carriacou, you could have moved up a few people from Grenada to come to Carriacou to work with the team in Carriacou on this emergency rapid response team for education, right? Now, once you have this team and that team is motivated, I'm telling you, you could move mountains, right? So you have the clearing of the schools, cleaning of the schools. And somebody might say, okay, well, what about the schools that are being used as shelters? Then I'm going to ask, well, what about those that are not being used as shelters? So let's level them now, level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. And you start working with your level 1 and your level 2. They are not occupied. You can remove your debris. You can begin your reconstruction. Senator Cox said something earlier, which is very valuable, right, in terms of advice. Now, I mean, it's a bit late right now. You can't redo the repair that you started where you started, but it just shows that there was a lack of strategic planning. And some people don't want advice. They don't to anybody else. They know it all, right? So how did you come up with the decision of which building you're going to start repairing first? Did you dip in a hat? Did you just jump and, the first one you saw, you started? Or did you sit and strategically determine what would you really need? Can the people in the ministerial complex work from home for 2 months, 3 months? Can children work from home 2 months, 3 months? Which one would be more effective working from home? And I don't have to think twice. I would say, let us hold on the ministerial complex. Let us begin with the schools, right? At the same time, we're still in July, At the same time, we are getting to and think about temporary learning arrangements because we don't want to wait till end of August to start wondering if school will open in September. So you start putting your team, so you can even have a subcommittee on temporary learning arrangements. You want to start since in July to begin your process of procuring new devices for teachers who would have lost their laptops in the hurricane, students who would have lost theirs, books and other resources that would have lost. I am almost certain, I wish somebody would tell me that I'm wrong, that process might not have started yet, right? Then you, at that point now, you begin the process of repairing your level 1 and level 2 houses. I'd wonder, well, what does that have to do with education? That's housing. No, well, you see, you have to look at now the correlation. What is connected, right? Remember, we have people in shelters. For school to open, they must move out from the shelters. For them to move out of the shelter, they must go somewhere. So it means that in July, end of July, because we have the resources, we could have now started the level 1 and level 2 2 weeks after the hurricane, like St. Vincent did, so that people don't have to be in shelters in September. But we are actually blessed. So we could have said, okay, we're going to delay repairs of level 1 and level 2 houses because guess what? What you call it in Dumfries, we have housing units there that these people from the center will be able to move them as soon as we are ready for the level 3 and level 4 schools, which are the schools in shelters. Of course, you also have at that point your communication plan and your crisis communication plan in place. So for example, I remember when we said we were going to have an online Zoom and we are targeting 1,000, I think it was 1,000 students. I remember the opposition at the time criticized to say, well, we are dishonest because there's no way that you can Zoom is maximum 100 people or something like that was the criticism. Not realizing that there are special packages that you can now buy just for that opportunity. So rather than 5 students coming to a meeting, you can now invite all the students from Carriacou to come on a Zoom meeting, get to express themselves, get them to participate, because Flo and others, I believe, said that internet is going okay, right? So it's about having a plan that is structured, well coordinated, right people involved in developing the plan, and just rolling out the plan to suit the situation. So we're at the stage, and maybe by now we're in August, right? Mm-hmm. And we would have started the process of moving these to the units, right? We would have started the rebuilding of homes. And so we are clearing shelters, right? And so as we clear shelters, we can now do the repairs to the schools that were shelters for persons who would have lost their homes, right? At that point, you are now in a position where you can feel a lot more comfortable that, yes, you would be able to accommodate school at the beginning of the school year. But of course, you also know that you're in the hurricane season. So you want to put strategies and systems in place just per se, just in case something may happen. So you want to start looking at your remote learning program, for example, right? In 2022, we were going to launch, end of the year, the Smart Classroom program. Maybe it would have been an excellent idea to pilot a program like that in Carriacou as you are rebuilding from such a situation. Mm-hmm. And now you can begin to look at the whole reopening of school. But there's something that I'm going back to in my mind and using COVID as the example. I'm sure you remember, what did we call it now? It was a special maths program. We brought in all of the outstanding mathematics teachers. So we looked at the key subject areas, core subject areas, maths, English, etc. And we would have started recording those programs so children can listen from home. They can turn on to GIS, etc., etc. In this case, they may not have television, but guess what? I have been told, I can't repeat this as a fact, and I'm always very careful when I don't know. I have only heard that support was given by the government to one of the radio stations in Carriacou to have that station up. And it's important to have a station up. I don't know the details, I don't know the circumstances. But guess what? If that is the case, or whether or not, because you have social responsibility as well, the station could have been carrying Teacher's Voice this morning. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. A child with a radio at home could be hearing a language program. It's about your response mechanism. All Form 5s tune into station XYZ at 11 o'clock. Teacher Donald is going to be on, right? And so you maximizing every single opportunity you have. So I'm just speaking in light of the situation where you were not opening school yesterday. You should have had a master plan as it relates to remote learning, using all possible means that you have to facilitate teaching and learning, right? And so I'm going to stop in terms of the phase. So we can look at a phase 3. Right? If you had the reopening of school on Monday, but the fact that we did not have that, then I would say now, what could have been done? 3 weeks before school opened, you must have known that you're not in a position to open school in 3 weeks. I mean, come on, right? So immediately you would tweak that plan now to facilitate either, and as I said, if in July you had begun the procurement for replacement devices and other support services, right, for online learning, then you could have just gone to that route. So you would have sat down with Flow or Digicel and say, okay, we are preparing for this. What kind of partnership can we work out to facilitate? What can we give to students? What can we do to be able to have our students not missing a day school? But then you also have things like the known word rotation. also have, I remember after Hurricane Ivan, I visited some students at St. Joseph's Convent. They were at the back of the school on their tent. This was Form 5 students. And I still share the story today that I reminded them when they were complaining about the heat and all of that. I said, what do you prefer to see? That because of Hurricane Ivan, you failed all your subject, or you would prefer to say, in spite of Hurricane Ivan, I passed all my subject. And they smiled. Because you see, you want to be encouraging them how to look at this from a positive perspective. So we could have gotten some, Trinidad is right there, some massive tents.
Let me also ask
We could have had some big, you could have had some big screens. I'm sure Trinidad, that's coming up with the boat in 1 week that you could have put down that you can, to ensure that you minimize the loss of contact time as much as possible. And you know, technology is something that I feel very strongly about in education. So even if not physical presence, at the least, some form of technology could have been used to get classes started on Monday. So there's absolutely no excuse that I can think about.
Let me ask this question as well, though, because remember, we have different categories of students that we're referring to here. We have those who ought to, this time next year, be transitioning from the primary school system to the secondary school system. We have those who are in their final year in the secondary school system right now. We also have those who are just entering into the school system. Now, who gets the priority in a case like this? Who gets the priority? Could not classes, at least even if you have to merge the two secondary schools on the Sister Isles into one, for the Form 5 class at least to start some classes in one location? At least that could have been done, because remember, well, I don't know how it goes these days. I know back in my days, within a month or two, we would have been already doing labs. So for the CXC exams. So I don't know how it goes now, but I would think that by now they would have at least had a plan that says, well, next week or week after or when we are going to, they don't have to forget uniform, forget this sort of thing about uniform and all sort of thing now.
Of course.
But we're bringing these youngsters together.
Another advantage, and there's so many advantages that we could have capitalized on, we could have taken advantage of, right? Now, this happened in July. So you had, and very in July, thank God. So you had July, you had August, right? There are so many things that could have been done during the period, right? Now, I remember when COVID came, let's look at the difference. COVID came, and we can say without notice, right? Because for us, we were still sitting back, not understanding the magnitude of this situation. So even when Cabinet instructed the Monday to call a meeting of principals the Tuesday to instruct principals that schools would have to be closed, you're talking 1 day notice, right? I remember sitting with the technical team, Jovis, Dabrio, and so Cade, and all the others. And we are strategizing now 1 day notice, what is it that we are going to say to principals as it relates to how teaching and learning would continue. And I remember it was Jovis Dabrio or Kate Dikoto, but one of these two gentlemen said, let us use WhatsApp. And I actually remember somebody laughing at the whole idea of using WhatsApp. Now, this was the first step of using technology to ensure that you continue communication between teachers and students, between teachers and principal. Teachers could send an assignment simply through WhatsApp. You create a WhatsApp group and you put the assignment there and students return, right? Now, that was most basic of what was available at the time, right? Now, at the time, the ministry was in the process of building a platform. You know what was the decision? Let us not continue to go all around the bush with all the details of this platform. If we can get it up and running to support the WhatsApp plan, let us launch that immediately. And so some minor adjustments were made, and that was launched immediately, right? Within another week or two, we were able to reach a company that would have been able to provide some support for the Form 5 students with past papers, with quizzes and so on, that they could have done their prep question. Because remember, again, this situation is almost a perfect situation. Back then, you were just about getting ready or prepare for the XC examination. Now, in this situation, we just finished.
It was the month of March.
We just finished. So I'm saying you had the thing on a platter. Take it and to design a plan and a strategy and roll it out, that you have a perfect rollout that these students should be marching out to school this morning. I mean, let's look at the mainland. Now, how are you going to convince me that you couldn't have all students back at McDonald College on Monday morning when you only had one school on the mainland that suffered that level of damage? Something must be wrong. Something has to be wrong, right? And I'm saying, when I speak about leadership, and I think about leadership at the highest level of the education system, and I'm going to suggest tonight with the most genuine heart that there's an urgent need to pull the team together. There's an urgent need to go around the table and to strategize. How are we proceeding out of this situation? Calling all necessary people. Some persons felt I used to consult too much on certain things. But you see, when people are involved, it makes a difference. And so we want to actually use the opportunity to go back to the drawing board, involving as many stakeholders as possible, and asking ourselves where we are now. We can go back where we are right now.
Let me ask this question, as you mentioned,
what we need to do to get out of this.
As you mentioned, involving stakeholders, because I tend to find the silence of the Grenada Union of Teachers when it comes to the issue of the teachers in Carriacou. Because remember, while we're speaking here about the children and what they are going through and how they are losing out, we're also speaking about another set of human beings that have to be accounted for, and we have to understand that they are going through a tough time. The teachers who are in Carriacou and Petit Martinique right now, those who have lost their homes, those who are unable to go back to work, those who may have, they may be even suffering from different, they're suffering from depression right now. They've lost their home totally. It's not been dealt with specifically for teachers, so that now if they have to go back into the classroom, they may go back there with depression. They may go back there with other things bothering them. You're at work, but you're studying now that, hey, I do have a house to go back to when I'm finished here. I have to go in the tent and that sort of thing. What is your suggestion? Because there's no interaction. We're not hearing from the Grenada Union of Teachers. They're very, very silent, and I find that to be very disheartening and strange. That teacher Jude is all of a sudden very quiet. I find that difficult.
During COVID-19, we pulled all of our counselors, because Ministry of Education has quite a number of counselors, right? Persons who are trained in it to provide psychosocial support. And these people were involved on radio, television, and in person, as well as on hotlines, offering support, right? And that support was offered to principals, teachers, and students. And I think the same thing should be happening now in a structured, organized way, intentionally, right? Recognizing that even if a teacher doesn't cry out for help or a student doesn't cry out for help, doesn't mean that they don't need the kind of support. So I would have loved to hear that we would have deployed a team of persons on the ground Monday. Think about how the child is feeling that school is supposed to be opening today. Obviously, there's a measure of psychological negative effect that would be upon that child. But as it relates to Teacher Jude, I have to conclude that Teacher Jude had a special love for me, that he used to be calling on me every Monday morning. I agree with you. Teacher Jude has become very, very quiet.
But could it
and
be?
I know it's not quiet because everything is well. So Teacher Jude, I would encourage you, and I don't say that you have to behave the way that you behaved with me, but I suggest that you find a way to get to the Ministry of Education, provide some advice, support, and some shake up there, because something is not right, in my opinion. Something needs to be happening that is not happening, and I believe that is the role of the union at this time, that you need to represent your teachers and represent the education system in the interest of, because you cannot, I don't have to ask you that, I know you cannot be happy with what is happening right now. If you recall, I was sometime, I believe it was somewhere in London at the time, attending, it was a UNESCO meeting. And I remember it was the vacation, and I remember stepping out of the room, and I don't think I ever even told Teacher Jude and his team where I was. I stepped out of the room to get a private room and a meeting with the permanent secretary and the union, because it was vacation, but they were demanding an update on where we are with the reopening of school. I would hate to believe that Teacher Jude didn't demand an update and didn't know that school was not going to open in Carriacou last Monday, right? I don't want to believe that he would treat, the situation different, because it's different governments in office. But I'm telling you what happened, and maybe it was good, because you see, when you add pressure, right? When you add a voice, when you add a demand, when you stay on top of things, it helps. And I'm telling you that while it might be pressure, while it might have been demands, while it might have been all that it has been, I have to confess that it may have helped to drive things a bit faster, and it may have helped. Somebody, the union needs to take some responsibility in that they are maybe a bit too soft, they are a bit too quiet, and maybe Ministry of Education feel that they don't need to push. I'm just assuming.
But
because
I'm assuming that probably he
must be wrong.
I'm assuming probably he had your number and he could have find you. And I don't know what's going on with who is Minister of Education now. Maybe you don't have his number and you don't know how to find him. But at least he could have find you.
He must have the number. He must have the number.
We giving Teacher Jude the benefit of the doubt. He had your number. He do have the present minister
and
number.
And mind you, Teacher Jude, I would say, is my friend. Sometimes he went a little above board in the way that he communicated.
Sometimes.
So I'm not even advocating that he
sometimes
behave in that same way. But all I would say is, Teacher Jude, please make a visit to the Ministry of Education and see what's happening there, because something is not right, in opinion. Prove me wrong, and do what you have to do, but find out what is happening. Demand as you demanded in the past, update things, and let's get this in the interest of the children, in interest of our country. Let us do what we all have to do.
Minister, you see that all habits die hard, but we're quickly running out of time. I think we have roughly about 10 minutes remaining. And I've been hearing about some other situations. I'm hearing, for instance, Wesley College hasn't had a secretary to do the necessary work there for the past few months. They've not had a secretary there. School term has started back, still no secretary. So if they're looking for a secretary, just say. Also, some of the schools on the West Coast, I won't name the specific school, but there are schools that have had no supplies for the school feeding program. And in a certain instance, they don't even have cooks at a particular school for the school feeding program. And so there are various issues that some of the schools on the mainland are going through as well, outside of all what is taking place on Petit Martinique and on Carriacou. There's a lot that's taking place right now on the mainland as well.
And it's the reason why I made point on Sunday that I really thank God that this hurricane did not have the devastating effect on the mainland as it would have had on Carriacou. And I'm saying that in the context that I don't think this government has capacity to be responding to the hurricane in terms of rehabilitation of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit-Martinique. So I'm very, very grateful and happy that it was only a very small part of Grenada that would have gotten serious beating from this hurricane, because I don't know what would have happened to us. I mean, we just have Carriacou and Petit-Martinique and a very minute part of Grenada that's been affected. But the process of rehabilitation, of rebuilding, of responding is so slow. And when you say these things, people are about to swallow you alive, right? But I always have a government that you scrutinize what they do and you hold them accountable. You're gonna get far more in terms of success out of that government. I assure you that. Now, I believe one of the reasons that this government is so relaxed about so many things is because too many people are saying it is okay when they don't do. So people are literally saying, no, it's okay. It's only 2 months. The government is not expected to begin to build back homes so quickly.
Oh, yeah?
While in St. Vincent right there, with less resources, the Minister for Housing is reporting that they've completed repairs of over almost 200 houses already. But in Grenada, we are saying, no. Don't pressure the government. Don't pressure the government. Let them take their time. Don't rush them. Let them take their time. And while they take their time, children cannot go back to school. Parents and children are waiting. Housing units remain unoccupied while we are defending this government. So we are defending the government to the detriment of ordinary people. And so those of us persons who defend, let us remember that you have a responsibility to hold your government accountable to get the best out of your government. Because guess what? If you don't get the best out of your government and you get the worst out of your government, you're going to have a new government that you probably would not like. And that's the reality of what happens, because you defend until you get a new government and then you become unhappy. Defend, yes, but hold your government accountable. If you really want your government to stay in the office, hold your government accountable. Demand. You know, I had an NDC supporter message me from my constituency while I was meeting on Sunday. I did not see the message during the meeting, but I'll tell you, I almost fainted when I read the message. I'm talking about a core supporter, hardcore supporter of the NDC, sent me a message of something that she wanted me to raise at the meeting. The truth is, I don't think I would have raised it there, right? But that person felt that her government that she loves so much should be held accountable for something that was done that is wrong. And if more of the supporters of the NDC see things that way, then maybe we would all be happier. Maybe we would all be happy and Grenada would be a much better place. But you don't defend for defense sake. And out of defending, you get less. It doesn't make any sense at all.
While we've been speaking in the later rounds there, I've been putting up some of the pictures of some of the reconstruction work that has been taking place on not Carriacou, Petit-Martinique, but on Union Island, Mairu, etc., where they've actually put back the roof on the clinic, Coast Guard base, and all of these things. They've already done that work. So I was putting up some of that to let folks know. Now, we have just about 4 minutes remaining, but there's a very important question I want to ask you. Excuse me, the cold is affecting me again. I wanted to ask you just before we end, and it goes back to the question that was raised by that parent just before I connected with you there. The issue of children who are under the age of 18 but already completed the school system and may even be within the workforce right now, and government's pronouncement that all of them must be at school. What say you?
I won't say anything very different to what I said before. Something is wrong in the Ministry of Education. And I'm appealing to the union and all stakeholders to join with the Ministry of Education, to sit around the table, provide support if it's needed. I know there are very competent officers within the ministry. I'm calling on the leadership to put the proper structure and system, create the enabling condition to mobilize their intellectual strength and their capable proper plans in place. Now, that was a premature announcement, in my opinion. A premature announcement. We are not ready for that announcement. I have no problem, absolutely no problem, with the thinking behind this, right? To a certain extent, there are a number of things in it that I can support. But what was announced, I cannot support it. Mm-hmm. And that is what I'm saying. You don't just announce things to get claps and to get points and to tick off a box to say 2 years and you have universal education, 2 years and all students up to 18 years remain in school. You don't do that. Who does that, right? You want to make sure that when you come up with a policy, that data would have informed that policy, serious assessment analysis would have informed that policy. And when you roll out that policy, you are not pedaling backwards because you were not ready, right? And somebody would have to convince me that we were ready for that announcement that was made. Maybe we could have phased. Maybe we could have phased it. We could have phased the introduction. Maybe we could have had a caveat that speaks to what happens this year or next year and how that was going to be rolled out. I said before, and I always said, schools must never close their doors at 2:30. They must open as long as people are awake. That's my honest opinion of schools. And that is why we were transforming schools into centers of excellence. So SAS, people were going there to learn furniture making. I'm talking about coming from work and going there. People were going to Westerhall Secondary School and getting their CVQ in general construction, right? And I'm using those two examples to say that what we needed to do, because we would invested, I think, $100 and something thousand in SAS to upgrade equipment, facilitate that program. So let us upgrade what we have, expand what we have, rather than the plan that I'm hearing to build new centers. We need to build new centers. Let us upgrade our schools and our existing facilities, community centers, expand them, do whatever we have to do. And as we introduce and expand, well, not introduce, as we expand the CVQ program in secondary schools. So we have skills training in our secondary schools. Let us expand that, so that people who are not in secondary schools, adults, people who would have left school, can benefit from those facilities. You reduce costs, right? You capitalize on what you already have. And at the end of the day, you achieve all. So it's a win-win situation. So yes. I'm not sure what is driving the plans that we see coming out of the ministry. I'm not sure who is driving those plans. And people involved, and it is a very serious thing. I remember this particular policy you're speaking about.
And I got to say, we have to wrap in 2 minutes because you know how it goes with me.
I'm ending on that. I'm ending on that very point, which is that there is a serious lack of stakeholder engagement in these policy decisions, and that is why they are so flawed in terms of what we see happening. A senior person in the Ministry of Education, I met that person casually in Grenville, and I'm preparing for that particular sitting of Parliament to deal with this particular issue. And I simply asked for some clarification, and I genuinely wanted to understand what was the plan and the intention, because this bill was coming the Monday or the Tuesday, sorry, and I'm speaking to the person on the Saturday. That person had no clue, absolutely no clue, that this bill was coming to Parliament, and they had no involvement in the discussions as it relates to that bill. I end there by saying we have to go back to the drawing board, and I would end with this. I am quite prepared to offer any suggestion, any ideas, advice, at absolutely no cost. I'm prepared to work on a committee as it relates to anything education. And I'm saying this tonight to say that this is in the interest of education and our children and building our country forward. I don't care which government is in office. We have to do even better than the previous administration. So it is not about administration party. It is about education and going up with education as well. Thank you. All
right. Thank you so very much, Honorable Emmalin Pierre. And do enjoy the rest of your night. I've got to get out of here. They're waiting on me already.
Thank you,
they know I just have to run when I finish. Yes, indeed.
Have a good day.
All right. Thank you so very much. Yes, indeed, folks. We've been speaking there with the Honorable Emmalin Pierre. Quite a bit of information. I hope that they sit down with a pen and a paper and they take note, because she gave quite a comprehensive overview of the existing situation and varied approaches to that situation. Yes, indeed. So, folks, we want to thank you all for being here with us tonight, and everything you say and do it safe and secure. I want to be speaking to and with you, and definitely not about you. My name is Sheldon Scott, and I'm out there. You all know I just had to run. Once it's 10 o'clock, literally run before I had to walk. All right. I am out. Love you all. We're back tomorrow night with more talking points just for you.
I thought number one would surely be me, and I thought I could be what I wanted to be,
and I thought of myself as a mighty big man, but I can't even walk without you holding my hand. Thank you, Jesus.